Good morning, students. In this lecture series of Hydraulics 1, myself S.J. Bhatmare taking lecture on turbulent flow in pipes. In last lecture, we studied about laminar flow in pipes. Today we are going to discuss about turbulent flow in pipes. Okay, so most flows encountered in engineering practice are turbulent, and thus it is important to understand how turbulence affects with shear stress. However, turbulent flow is a complex mechanism dominated by fluctuations, and despite tremendous amounts of work done in this area by researchers, the theory of turbulent flow remains largely undeveloped. Therefore, we must rely on experiments and the empirical or semi empirical correlations developed for various situations. Turbulent flow is characterized by random and rapid fluctuations of swirling regions of fluid called eddies. Throughout the flow, these fluctuations provide an additional mechanism for momentum and energy transfer. We already discussed about the laminar flow. Okay, so in laminar flow, fluid particles flow in an orderly manner along with path lines and momentum, and energy are transferred across streamlines by molecular diffusion. Okay, in in turbulent flow, the swirling eddies transport mass, momentum, and energy to other regions of flow much more rapidly than molecular diffusion, greatly greatly enhancing mass, momentum, and heat transfer. Okay, as a result of this, turbulent flow is associated with much higher values of friction, heat transfer, and mass transfer coefficients. The eddy motion in turbulent flow causes significant fluctuations in the values of velocity, temperature, pressure, and even density in compressible flow. You can see in the images turbulent flow in pipes. Fluctuations of the velocity component u with time at a specified location in turbulent flow shown as in figure. Okay, so instantaneous values of velocity fluctuate about an average value, which suggests that the velocity can be expressed as the sum of an average value u bar and fluctuating component u dash. Okay, so u equal to u bar plus u dash. Turbulent shear stress. Turbulent in flow, turbulent flow in pipes. So in turbulent shear stress, the turbulent shear stress consists of two parts. The laminar component, which accounts for the friction between layers in the flow direction, expressed as tau laminar equal to minus mu du by dr. Okay, and in the turbulent component, which accounts for the friction between the fluctuating fluid particles and the fluid body, denoted as tau turbulence, and is related to the fluctuation components of velocity. Then the total shear stress in turbulent flow can be expressed as tau total equal to tau laminar plus tau turbulent. So the total shear stress can be expressed conveniently as tau total is equal to in bracket mu plus mu t bracket complete du by dy, which is equal to rho into in bracket v plus vt bracket complete du by dy. Okay, where mu t is the eddy viscosity or turbulent viscosity, which accounts for momentum transport by turbulent eddies. Vt is equal to mu t divided by rho is the kinematic eddy viscosity or kinematic turbulent viscosity. So you can see the laminar flow and turbulent flow in the pipes. The velocity gradients at the wall and thus the wall shear stress are much larger for turbulent flow than they are for laminar flow. Okay, you can see in the images laminar flow and turbulent flow. Okay. Then turbulent velocity profile. You can see the images average velocity, laminar flow, and for turbulent flow average velocity. The velocity profile is parabolic in laminar flow but is much fuller in turbulent flow. This is the main difference between the laminar flow and turbulent flow in pipes. The velocity profile is parabolic in laminar flow and is much fuller in turbulent flow with a sharp drop near the pipe wall. Okay, so turbulent flow along a wall can be considered to consist of four regions characterized by the distance from the wall. The very thin layer next to the wall where viscous efforts are dominant is the viscous or laminar or linear or wall sublayer. Okay, you can see in the turbulent flow, turbulent layer, overlap layer, buffer layer, viscous slab layers are shown in the images. Okay, the velocity profile in this layer is very nearly linear and the flow is streamlined. Okay, next to the viscous sublayer is the buffer layer. As we already discussed about in laminar flow in pipes, similarly here in turbulent flow in pipes there are four layers. Next to the viscous sublayer is the buffer layer in which turbulent effects are becoming significant but the flow is still dominated by viscous effects. Above the buffer layer is the overlap layer, also called as inertial sublayer, in which the turbulent effects are much more significant but still not dominant. Above that is the outer or turbulent layer in the remaining part of the flow, in which turbulent effects dominate over molecular diffusion viscous effects. Then flow characteristics are quite different in different regions, and thus it is difficult to come up with an analytic relation for the velocity profile for the entire flow as we did for laminar. Okay. Then numerous empirical velocity profiles exist for turbulent pipe flow. Among those, the simplest and the best known is the power law velocity profile, expressed as power law velocity profile is equal to u upon u max is equal to y upon r raised to 1 upon n, or u upon u max is equal to 1 minus r small r divided by capital R raised to 1 upon n, where the exponent n is a constant whose value depends on the Reynolds number. The value of n increases with increasing Reynolds number. The value n is equal to 7 generally approximates many flows in practice giving rise to the term 1/7 power law velocity profile. Okay. You can see in the graph the turbulent velocity profile, okay, is fuller than the laminar one, and it becomes more flat as n, and thus the Reynolds number increases. Okay, the power law profile cannot be used to calculate wall shear stress since it gives a velocity gradient of infinity there, and it fails to give zero slope at the center line. You can see in the graph laminar flow has been shown on x-axis u upon u max and on y-axis r upon r. Okay, the Colebrook equation is implicit in F, and thus the determination of the friction factor requires some iteration unless an equation solver is used. An approximate explicit relation for F was given by S.E. Halland in 1983 as 1 divided by under square root F is equal to minus 1.8 log in bracket 6.9 divided by Re, that is Reynolds number, plus in bracket E divided by D capital E divided by 3.7 raised to 1.11 bracket complete. The results obtained from this relation are within 2% of those obtained from the Colebrook equation. Okay. Then Types of fluid flow problems. In the design and analysis of piping system that involves the use of the Moody chart or the Colebrook equation, we usually encounter three types of problems. The fluid and the roughness of the pipe are assumed to be specified in all cases. The three cases are: first, determine the pressure drop or head loss when the pipe length and diameter are given for a specified flow rate or velocity. In second case, determining the flow rate when the pipe length and the diameter are given for a specified pressure drop or head loss. And in third case, determining the pipe diameter when the pipe length and flow rate are given for a specified pressure drop or head loss. Okay, so fluid flow problems are related to these three types: pressure drop given, or determining pressure drop, or determining flow rate, or determining pipe diameter when the given data is available. Okay, so problems of the first type are straightforward and can be solved directly by using the Moody chart. Problems of the second type and third type are commonly encountered in engineering design in the selection of pipe diameter, for example, that minimizes the sum of the construction and pumping costs. But the use of the Moody chart with such problems requires an iterative approach unless an equation solver is used. To avoid tedious iterations in head loss, flow rate, and diameter calculations, Swamy and Jain proposed the following explicit relation in 1976 that are accurate to within 2% of the Moody chart. That is, HL is equal to, that is head loss equal to 1.07 V dot square L divided by G d raised to 5 in bracket E divided by 3.7 d plus 4.62 Vd divided by V dash V dot bracket complete raised to 0.9 bracket raised to minus 2. Okay, there is a condition 10 raised to minus 6 is less than E divided by D less than 10 raised to minus 2. That is 3000 is less than Reynolds number is less than 3 into 10 raised to 8. Then V dot is equal to minus 0.965 in bracket G d raised to 5 HL divided by L raised to 0.5 in bracket E raised U divided by 3.7 D plus in bracket 3.17 V square L divided by G d raised to 3 HL head loss bracket complete raised to 0.5, where Re is greater than 2000. That is, Reynolds number is greater than 2000. And in third case, D is equal to 0.66 in bracket E raised to 1.25 in bracket L V dot raised to square divided by GHL bracket complete raised to 4.75 plus V into V dot raised to 9.4 in bracket L divided by GHL bracket complete raised to 5.2 bracket complete raised to 0.04, where the condition is 10 raised to minus 6 is less than E divided by D expression divided less than 10 raised to minus 2, or 5000 is less than Reynolds number less than 3 into 10 raised to 8. Okay. So by taking one example, determining the head loss in a water pipe. Let's take one example. Have given the pipe 200 feet length and 0.2 ft cube per second water, 2 inch is the diameter. Okay, so water at 60 degree Fahrenheit in bracket rho is equal to 62.36 lbm divided by ft raised to cube, and mu is equal to 7.536 into 10 raised to minus 4 lbm divided by foot into SI, is flowing steadily in a 2-inch diameter horizontal pipe made of stainless steel at a rate of 0.2 feet cube divided by second. Determine the pressure drop and head loss and the required pumping power input for flow over a 200 feet long section of the pipe. So, solution: the flow rate through a specified water pipe is given. The pressure drop, the head loss, and the pumping power requirements are to be determined. So we have to take some assumptions. That out of that, first is the flow is steady and incompressible. The entrance effects are negligible and thus the flow is fully developed. Third assumption is the pipe involves no components such as bend, valves and connectors. The pipe is straight. 4. The piping section involves no work devices such as a pump or a turbine. So properties we have, the density and dynamic viscosity of water are given to be rho is equal to 62.36 lbm divided by foot raised to cube, and mu is equal to 7.536 into 10 raised to minus 4 lbm divided by foot into second respectively. So analysis, we recognize this as a problem of the first type since flow rate, pipe length and pipe diameter are known. First we have to calculate the average velocity and the Reynolds number to determine the flow regime. So we have the formula V is equal to V dot divided by AC is equal to V dot divided by pi d raised to square divided by 4. Putting the values in that equation, we get V is equal to 9.17 ft divided by second. And we get Reynolds number is equal to rho into Vd divided by mu. Putting the values, we get the Reynolds number 1,26,400, which is greater than 4,000. Therefore, the flow is turbulent. The relative roughness of the pipe is calculated using the table. E divided by D is equal to 0.000007 divided by 2 divided by 12 feet, which is equal to 0.000042. The friction factor corresponding to this relation roughness and the Reynolds number can be simplified by determining from the Moody chart. To avoid any reading error, we determine F from the Colebrook equation. That is, we have 1 upon under square root F is equal to minus 2.0 log in bracket E divided by D divided by 3.7 plus 2.51 divided by Reynolds number into under square root F bracket complete. So putting that values using an equation solver for an alternative iterative scheme, the friction factor is determined to be F is equal to 0.0174. Then the pressure drop, which is equivalent to pressure loss in this case, head loss and the required power input become delta P is equal to delta PL equal to F into L divided by D into rho into V square divided by 2. Putting that values, we get delta P is equal to 11.8 psi. So head loss is equal to delta PL divided by rho G, that is equal to F into L divided by D into V square upon 2G. Putting that values, we get 27.3 Ft head loss. So water power requirement, we get V dot into delta P is equal to 461 W. Therefore, power input in the amount of 461 watt is needed to overcome the frictional losses in the pipe. So the friction factor could also be determined easily from the explicit Haaland relation. It would give F is equal to 0.0172, which is sufficiently close to 0.0174. Okay, so minor losses. The fluid in a typical piping system passes through various fittings: valves, bends, elbows, T's, inlets, exits, enlargements, and the contraction in addition to the pipes. These components interrupt the smooth flow of the fluid and cause additional losses because of the flow separation and mixing they induce. In a typical system with long pipes, these losses are minor compared to the total head loss in the pipes. The major losses and are called minor losses. Although this is generally true, in some cases the minor losses may be greater than the major losses. This is the case, for example, in system with several turns and valves in a short distance. Okay, so the head loss introduced by a completely open valve, for example, may be negligible, but a partially closed valve may cause the largest head loss in the system, as evidenced by the drop in the flow rate. Flow through valves and fittings is very complex and a theoretical analysis is generally not possible. Therefore, minor losses are determined experimentally, usually by the manufacturers of the components. Minor losses are usually expressed in terms of the loss coefficient, that is KL, also called as resistance coefficient, defined as loss coefficient KL is equal to HL upon V square upon 2G, where HL is the additional irreversible head loss in the piping system caused by insertion of the component, and is defined as head loss is equal to delta PL divided by rho G. So once all the loss coefficients are available, the total head loss in a piping system is determined from total head loss general is equal to HL total is equal to HL major plus HL minor. Okay, so summation of F1 L1 V1 square divided by D1 2G plus summation of KLJ Vj square divided by 2G, where I represents each pipe section with constant diameter and G represents each component that causes a minor loss. If the entire piping system being analyzed has a constant diameter, then total head loss D constant HL is equal to HL total is equal to in bracket F into L divided by D plus summation of KL bracket complete into V square upon 2G, where V is the average flow velocity through the entire system. Note that V is equal to constant since D is constant. You can see the images, loss coefficient KL of various pipe components for turbulent flow. Okay, pipe inlet, pipe exit, sharp edged, rounded shaped has been given, and the values for KL has been given. Okay, for the loss coefficient KL for turbulent flow. So sudden expansion and contraction based on the velocity in the smaller diameter pipe has been shown. Sudden expansion and sudden contraction, then the KL values for different conditions has been given in the slide. Okay, similarly, when the bends and branches are introduced in the joints, then the values for KL has been given for the different bends and branches of the pipes has been given. Okay, so there is one example for head loss and pressure rise during gradual expansion. Okay, so a 6-meter diameter horizontal water pipe expands gradually to a 9 centimeter diameter pipe. The walls of the expansion section are angled 30 degrees from the horizontal. The average velocity and pressure of water before the expansion section are 7 meter per second and 150 kilopascal respectively. Determine the head loss in the expansion section and the pressure in the larger diameter pipe. So there is answer 0.175 meter and 168 kilopascal. You have to solve as per the formula. Here is the solution given. Okay, we have a horizontal water pipe expands gradually into a large diameter pipe. The head loss and pressure after the expansion are to be determined. We have to assume some assumptions. The flow is steady and incompressible. The flow at section 1 and 2 is fully developed and turbulent, with alpha 1 is equal to alpha 2 is normally equal to 1.06. Alpha 1 and alpha 2 are the kinetic energy correlation factors. So properties we have: the density of water to be rho is equal to 1000 kg per meter cube. The loss coefficient for gradual expansion of theta is equal to 60 degree. Total included angle is KL is equal to 0.707. We have to assume. So noting that the density of water remains constant, the downstream velocity of water is determined from the conservation of mass to be m1 is equal to m2. So rho v1 a1 is equal to rho v2 a2. So we have the values Putting into V2, we get 3.11 meter per second. Then the irreversible head loss in the expansion section becomes head loss is equal to KL into V1 square divided by twice G. Putting that values, we have head loss is equal to 0.175 meter. Noting that Z1 and Z2 are there, no pumps or none turbines involved. The energy equation for the expansion section can be expressed in terms of heads as P1 divided by rho g plus alpha 1 V1 square divided by 2g plus Z1 plus H pump U equal to 0. So by solving the equation for P2 and substituting, we get P2 is equal to P1 plus rho into in bracket alpha 1 V1 square minus alpha 2 V2 square divided by 2 minus GHL. Putting that values, we get P2 is equal to 169 kilopascal. Okay. Similarly, there is one example for head loss as shown in figure, and the solution is given as per the above equation. We get value HP is equal to head loss equal to F into L divided by D V square upon 2G. So by solving it, we get the value PA is equal to 2,02,000 HP. Okay. Similarly, another example is there, minor losses. You can solve it. Determine the elevation Z1 for a flow rate of 6 L per seconds. Okay. Similarly, we can solve these examples by assuming some data and some assumptions. By solving it similarly, we get the value Z is equal to Z2 plus HL head loss. We can get it is 31.9 meter. Okay. So thank you very much. In this lecture, we studied about the turbulent flow, minor and major losses. Okay, and the turbulent flow in the pipes. Okay, thank you very much.